This is Sister Dr. Alexis Pauline Gums from Black Feminist Film School. Super excited because today we get to have a live conversation with the Aunjanue Ellis Taylor. And I am a fan and I'm doing my best to keep calm. I'm glad that you all are here and we're just waiting for the divine Aunjanue to request video. Yes, Black Glitter Magic says no need to stay calm. It's true. It's actually not appropriate to the situation. I'm so grateful. Okay, great. Here you are. Wonderful. And Aunjanue, can you press request to be added to video so I can add you in? I'm so glad you're here. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yay!
Hi there. Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi. How you doing?
Hello, you divine being. I am so grateful to be here with you right now.
I appreciate your time and wanting to do this on this Wednesday. I appreciate it. I really do.
It is such a huge gift. And as we've been sharing this with Black Feminist Film School and our whole community, people have been just like, oh, she's my favorite. People have been naming, oh, this is my favorite role. This is my favorite role. Your catalog is actually like an interface of gratitude for so many folks. All that rested with gratitude. And so I want to say I'm grateful for you. And as Black Feminist Film School, we always start everything we do with dedication. We always dedicate what we do to someone who's not physically, or in this case, digitally, part of the space, as a reminder that we never move into any space alone. We are always, the doors that open to let us into that space have been opened by those who love us, and we're bringing through many people who may not have access to this specific space.
Yes.
So again, my name's Alexis Pauline Gums. I'm going to just model a dedication. I'm dedicating my participation in this conversation to the great writer Valerie J. Boyd, who is a shared loved one of ours and who I feel is ancestrally orchestrated this moment. As soon as I heard about this possibility, I was like, it's yes, because I know that Valerie is having this happen. For folks who don't know, Valerie J. Boyd is a recent ancestor, and she is, among other incredible works, the author of Wrapped in Rainbows, I think it's the definitive biography, period, but it's definitely a definitive biography of Zora Neale Hurston. He is the editor of Alice Walker's journals. More recently, she's done so much, and she's actually transformed what nonfiction writing is in our lifetimes. And she's a cherished mentor of mine, and who advised me on the process of writing my first biography, which is Survival is a Promise, the Eternal Life of Audre Lorde. So I'm thinking about her. I'm missing her. I'm really wanting her to read the biography and tell me what she thinks. I want to know what she thinks about the new adaptation of The Color Purple that you also were just in. I just want to talk to her about so many things. And so I'm deciding that she indeed is a part of this conversation, and I'm dedicating my participation with gratitude. to her. So that's one place to start. Is there someone that you would like to dedicate your participation in this conversation to?
I share that. I share that dedication with you, and thank you for that. I I feel sorry for people who didn't know her, you know, and I am so grateful that I am one of that number, who did. Her fingerprints are all over what I'm doing now, all over it, all over it. In my moments of insecurity, she, she was my leaning post. She said to me on more than one occasion, like, she said to me, "You can write." And it's when someone who has written some of the best writing you've ever written says that to you, it 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 shakes you into another reality,
Yeah.
right? You are someone before someone says that to you, and then you are someone after that.
That's right.
You use that word transformative and transformed, and that is the power that she had in the world. And I join you in missing her so much. I mean, especially this moment, right?
Yeah.
Because we would be talking and talking and talking, and she would have so much to say and so much to share, and would expand any conversation that we would ever have about this. So I join you. That in that dedication.
Thank you. And as some of you all are doing in the chat, we invite all of you to share. If you want to type in the chat a dedication, this is how we make a space sacred, is by bringing our folks with us. And us do that by wearing jewelry they gave us. Some of us do that by saying their names. Some of us do that in secret ways that no one would ever see. But we want to understand that every space can be a sacred space, even Instagram Live, because it's infused with the energy of those who love us and who have loved us.
Yes.
So thank you for that. And then just thank you for you. I just watched your conversation with my dear brother, Darnell Moore, so I'm going to try not to be redundant. But one thing I will be redundant about is everyone really needs to go see this film, Origin. It's out everywhere, January 19th. I watched last night.
Oh, you did?
Prepare for this, and I want to thank you for how present you are. In this particular film, it involves being present with a lot of grief and with purpose in the midst of grief. And I have to say, personally, as a Black woman writer, writing through grief, watching you portray a Black woman writer writing through grief. Now, you also are a Black woman writer, but I want to acknowledge that, as we just have mentioned. I have so much gratitude. You liberated me with the freedom that you brought to this role, and I'm not surprised because it wasn't the first time. You have such a track record of opening a door up within yourself that allows the complicated, creative, genius Black women who you've chosen to portray and uplift and embody to reach us and heal us and open us. And I have more compassion for myself after watching you in this role than I had 24 hours ago. I want to thank you for doing your work, and here at Black Feminist Film School, we understand that we're always doing spiritual work and that filmmaking can be a spiritual practice. And so I just want to ask you, in terms of your spirit, what is it that guided you for your spirit to say yes to this particular project? And how has it impacted your spirit, the journey that you've had embodying this role?
Yeah, well, before one of the first conversations that I had with Ava before she officially cast me in the film, she said that we sort of agreed on this idea of exploring the interior life of a Black woman, the interiority of a Black woman. Um, and of course that interior space is where a writer lives, you know.
That's right.
And that is what excited me about that. We see those kinds of portrayals of thinking women. We see that mainly, or mostly at least, in the canon and in a European canon of film, where they're not afraid to dramatize ideas. They're not afraid to dramatize generating thought. They're not afraid of that. They're interested in that. They're driven by that. And that was from jump. I said, yeah, that's something I want to be a part of. And it hopefully, I mean, thankfully, it worked out, and she gave me this miracle. Yeah, and I'm a writer. I'm a thinker. I read incessantly, but I'm not Isabel Wilkerson. Do you know what I mean? Like,
None of us Isabel Wilkerson.
I'm not her. I am not her. But I could lean into that shared inclination, right? You know what I mean? That of finding tremendous joy and revelation in words and research, and so yeah, it was cool for me to kind of do what I do off screen to essentially do it on screen,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you said that, because one of the things, and this is part of the way that I've heard you talk about your work, and it's certainly my experience of your work, is the power of presence.
Mm.
And when I think about that in a performance lineage, I think about Laurie Carlos. I think about the theatrical jazz tradition, and I think of Daniel Alexander Jones and 𝒜𝓁𝓁 Joni L. Jones. I think of the stage often when I think about the power of presence in performance.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that you bring to film in such a profound way. And I've heard you say that some of the experiences that you had making this film, traveling to multiple continents, really being in conversations, in some cases with the real scholars who Isabel Wilkerson also interviewed, that you were being present, and you were being present to that writerly awe for real. But could you say something about your rigor? Because this is not the first time that those of us who've been watching you over the years have seen you bring presence to a role in a way that gives us, takes us there with you. The way that you brought me present to my own feelings that I was even hiding from and avoiding is a testament to the power of how present you are in your artistry and in your work. Can you talk about that and how that came to be and how you experienced that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I try to do, what I really try to do is I try to leave my ego I really try to leave my ego at the door, as much as I can, and just allow myself, as you said, to just see what happens, just see what happens. And I think Ava was open to that. So it didn't feel for me like a performance, you know,
Right.
and for the most part. But what was at play for me in terms of the actual work that I did is having to, I don't know, sculpt. I've used this word, but it's the word that makes sense to me. It's like I got all this clay, right? All this clay, and it don't make no sense, you know. And that the shared space of a Black woman feeling enraged about being Black in America, right? Being being disrespected in very, very in public, but personal ways, our the violation of our space.
Yeah.
Those are places that I share with Ms.
Right.
Wilkerson, but I don't express that in the way that Ms. Wilkerson does.
Right.
You know, so it is really how to shape that rage so it has some shape, has some form, has some definition. So that and refinement, because she's a very refined, person. So that was the work that went in it. The great thing I had a director who was open to me just exploring things. And there were, she's a visual director, so sometimes she's trying to express the words in pictures.
Yeah.
So I would have to say, no, I need the space to just be how I feel in this moment. And she, allowed that. I had some incredible coworkers in Emily Yancey and John Bernthal and Niecy Nash Betts and Audra McDonald and Connie Nielsen. Just extraordinary. You know what I mean? Like just
Yes.
dopest of the dope. I went to work with these people every day. So that makes all of that a lot easier,
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I think that with at Black Feminist Film School, we think about a filmic tradition, and we also think about what does it mean to transform what it means to be in the practice of making together. And you could really see the community that you all built. You could see the artistic freedom that Ava prioritized. I love what you said about I need to just be. I need to just be how I feel in this moment. And I guess what I'm wondering, and I love the way you're talking about how there's you and then there's Isabel Wilkerson, right? And then there's the challenge of confronting some of the same situations that, of course, you yourself face, but doing it, understanding that this person has a particular approach, this person has a particular life story and background. And you've done that so many times. I mean, we watched you from Maddie Moss Clark to Fannie Lou Hamer, who I don't go a day without thinking about and thanking Fannie Lou Hamer, Zora Neale Hurston, like so many Black women who you have offered to us. And I think about the line that's there. I mean, I'm not an actor, but I'm a biographer, right? So what it means to be accountable to bring someone's life and to rectify the specificity of their life to a wider public is something that, well, Valerie J. Boyd is a mentor in, and that I take very, very seriously. And I see you taking that so seriously with the respect that you give to each role. Is there something that you could say about what it's like to do that repeatedly? Because it must be that each of them teach you something about yourself if you allow that to happen. I just wonder, anything you'd want to say about that would be a gift to all of us.
You just fucked me up a little bit, Alexis. You just fucked me up. I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend anybody, but you just got me fucked up a little bit. Because I was like, yes, being an actor, being an actor in the situation of, or in the filming of the life of Isabel Wilkerson or Oracene Price, which was another place where I had to do that sculpting of my natural emotions, because she's another woman who is very held and refined and poised. You are a biographer.
Yes. Yes.
God,
You are.
dog. You are a biographer. Like it goes, I know there's that term, biopic or whatever, but the actor is a biographer.
That's right.
The actor is in the act of biography.
Yes.
Yes. And so you're right. Like there's an absolute shared, um, you know, journey with writing that and acting that, because that you know the detail, if you want to do it right,
Yeah.
you know, the detail that you feel beholden to, and this person that you feel responsible for, the truth that you know you are charged to tell as best as you can, about this person, the fullness of it, you know, not being afraid to lean into the contradictions of it, you know. Girl, okay. Okay. All right.
Right. Listen,
Okay.
let's add it to your biographer.
Biography.
Aunjanue Ellis Taylor. Yes. Yes. Because I mean, there are so, and this is part of the gratitude that we all have for you, right? Like what we know of the complexity of Oracene Price, Maddie Moss Clark. Many of us, we know it from you. You were the storyteller, the graph, right? You were the chart for that. So you absolutely are a biographer. And speaking of that, speaking of you as a writer, first of all, I'm just excited about everything that you ever write. And we've been thinking at Black Feminist Film School, we've been thinking a lot about adaptation. We've been watching a lot of adaptations. Of course, the new adaptation of The Color Purple, American Fiction is an adaptation. There's a lot of adaptations that we've been thinking about. I have never seen an adaptation like Origin. It is such an inspired take on what it means to make an adaptation of a book, especially a nonfiction book, and to include the origin of the desire for the book in the author as part of what we actually get to experience and see in the adaptation, without losing the message. And you know, as a scholar, I was like, I don't, in a narrative film, to really get a rigorous argument, how do you do that and not have it feel like someone's just like reading you the book, right? Which is not what it felt like in any moment. And I think that it makes so much sense that you are a writer, and that this line between what it is to inhabit a book, what it is to really tell the story of the genesis of a book and tell the book itself at the same time would be something that you would do first, you know, in collaboration with your colleagues and with 𝒜𝓁𝓁𝓉𝒽𝒾𝓃𝓊𝓒e, of course, who wrote this adaptation in this way. But I would just love to give space for you to say anything you want to say about that, about y'all have to go see Origin, because you have not seen this approach to film. You just have not. And it's a profound experience. But I wanted to give you space to talk about what you are writing, and what it felt like to be a part of this adaptation.
Yeah, I would love. You should. I want you to talk to Ava. You know what I
Me
mean?
too.
I would love to hear that. I would love to hear that conversation. I will
That would
mention
be
that to her.
great.
That you know that you know you guys should be in conversation. You know, I wanted this. I've wanted this for the last several weeks, and just I'm so glad that we can make this happen. About talking about the ideas of this book.
Yeah.
And this is, I knew that to do that, I needed to talk to someone like you, talk to someone like 𝒜𝓁𝓁,
Yeah.
you know, because we've sort of gone about in the journey of talking about the film. We're talking to people who are in the industry of this filmmaking, the industry of it. And that is so not interesting to me. And I feel that, you know, I feel like the life of the book Origin, the life of the life of the book cast, the life of the film, this is where it lives. in this exchange. So thank you. And I agree, it's, she's been told, Ava's been told, like, how did you take this thing that was completely unadaptable and adapt it? And the way she did it essentially was she just made Ms. Wilkerson a character herself. Ms. Wilkerson lost the three most important people in her life in a span of 16 months.
Wow. And
then she wrote this book. So you see this great loss. And Ava, through her interviews, was finding out about what she was going through leading up to the book, and that is not in the book,
right.
And saw a compelling character in Ms. Wilkerson herself. So that was the entry. That was the entry into it. And then with the, so you have this, profound grief that she's navigating, and then the research of it, the research of the book. I feel that the loss drove her, and the way I'm seeing it is just like it's a love letter to the people that she lost. But you see this woman on this quest.
Yeah.
On this quest that takes her all around the world. She's Indiana Jones with a notebook.
Yeah.
It's even if I weren't in it, that's fascinating to me. It's fascinating to me, and as it's this idea of the thinking life of a black woman, the thinking life of a black woman, where we give ourselves and where we are allowed, where we have to take the spaces to think, and oftentimes we have to take that space to think. I can't say enough about how affirming that was to me as an actor, as a black woman, to be given that space to do that.
The way that you did, I know we only have a little bit of time, but I want to just honor the way that you did justice to that grief, and the way that grief was a path. What I feel like I saw is I saw a great black thinker, incredible writer, decide that she refused to be separated from her loved ones, even in their deaths. And then, and through that, sought to free us all by looking at separation. How is it that separation is codified and used in general, but with this accountability to the specific relationships, contexts, and histories of her own life? Like, to really ask the question, what made, I don't want to give away anything, but like, what made this person in my life possible? What made this person in my life the way that they were? And how can we actually imagine, and what would we have to do in order to imagine a way of being alive beyond separation? That's the way, that's what I feel like I saw. And I think it's just such a victory, because there are some people who'd be like, who wants to watch a black woman thinking? I want to watch a black woman thinking. And many of the black women in my life know I'm like, I'm so curious about them. I'm so curious about you. But that's the victory. To, like what you said, that Isabel Wilkerson was a worthy character.
Yes.
Right? Because that act of her thinking as deeply as she needed to think, of asking what she needed to ask, and looking all over the world and researching to find the possibility of connection is, I mean, maybe I'm biased, but I do think that it is. I do think that it is Black women following their creative impulse and their thoughts that will fundamentally transform the world, that will actually reconnect us. And those who know me know I don't really go a day without quoting the Combahee River Collective statement, but they said that if Black women were to be free, everyone else would necessarily have to be free, because our freedom requires the destruction of all systems of oppression. And I think that this is what, at least as a Black feminist reader of this film, this is what I see. I see an honoring of that leadership and the acknowledging of the fact that it's not only our brilliant minds, but it's the love that we have. It's the desire to be connected to our people and all people forever that fuels another way of being able to live.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I mean, just a couple thoughts that I had on from what you said, and I thank you, God, thank you. That, you know, there's so much shame attached in this culture, this anti-human culture that we live in, that we have to pocket grief, we have to put it away. You know, there's a statute of limitations on it. And you know, even the way that we publicly grieve with funerals, like there's a language now that we use, that, you know, it wasn't a sad funeral, you know, it didn't make you sad. And you know, we don't call funerals anymore, we call them homegoings, we call them, you know, celebration of life. And you know, those are thoughts that I've had. And there's this great minister, you know, Reginald Sharp out of Chicago, and he recently did a whole sermon about it. And it essentially, he's saying, and what I feel is, if we can't make a space for us to grieve, the way that we grieve is politicized.
That's right.
We shame ourselves into how we grieve, because our grieving is not appropriate. In other words, our grieving is not assimilated.
Oof.
You know what I mean? Because when white people enter a space of grieving, they are refined. They, you know, they have the little tissues, you know. But we shame ourselves because we want to jump in the ground.
That's right.
Because we want to get in the casket. And I think that we do that because we know how, because so much of us has been taken away from us, that we know essentially what life means, and we are trying to hold on to it, on as much as we can. So yes, I Ms. Wilkerson, and in the way that the film did it, you know, shout out to Ava, was what you said. It is making a space, a sacred space for grief, living with it, and you know, if I lost my mom in 2019, and you know, I go through seasons, and now is that season. I start feeling it today, because springtime was the time that my mother and I would go buy flowers, and it's like, okay, in a few weeks it's going to start being that. So how do we live in it, not shame ourselves? And it's a healthier thing to do. I'm rambling, but yeah.
No, it's exactly that. We get to learn from our grief, and through learning from our grief is the way that our ancestors and the people who we grieve are able to continue to impact the world and make it better. And I'm just so grateful for you. I think we went beyond our time, but I should have told somebody I have actually no sense of time. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for being with us. Everyone, please go see Origin. I know Black Feminist Film School, we're organizing a whole outing so that we could see it together and we can talk about it, because there's so much to talk about. I mean, what we talked about is like the tip of the iceberg. It could be weeks and weeks of talking about all of the things that this film could teach us. And I just all I can say is thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you, Alexis. Thank you, Alexis. And I just, I love your writing. My friend Amani Wilson introduced me to
Oh,
you. I think she took your class.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
we be over here clapping for you.
likewise. Like, I hope we get to collaborate again, and just
I
so
hope
great
so
to
too. All right. Have a good rest of your day. And thank y'all, everybody.
thank everybody
All
for coming.
right. Okay. Bye.
Bye.